my goal is to get a standing ovation with that one. That's my goal. So
you're aiming too low.
I'm gonna cause a riot.
Cause a riot. Get some maybe a backflipping ovation.
Yeah, backflipping ovation.
Your talk was good when all of a sudden the entire audience just starts doing backflips.
Or they build a giant human pyramid,
and then that does a backflip,
and that does.
Butterscotch Hey everybody, welcome to episode 87 of Coffee with Butterscotch, the game dev comedy podcast of Butterscotch Shenanigans. I'm Seth and I'm the games programmer.
I'm Adam and I'm the binary basher.
I'm Sam and I make pictures.
And today is February 20th, 2020.
February
2017.
February.
What's 17? Is that not 14 is 14.
14.
17.
Yeah. There's just 10 and 7, Seth.
So it's 2017.
Sure.
Warning, anything can happen on this show. There's going to be profanity, and we're going to just the gloves are coming off this week.
Oh yeah,
okay.
We're going off rails.
We're gonna get diseases.
So if you don't want to get punched, then you should stop listening. All right. So listen, you guys. I've got a pep in my step this week.
Why?
This coffee I'm drinking is it's potent. Okay. I'm basically chewing it. So, and you guys are drinking the same stuff.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be a good week. I'm pretty sure this coffee is going to last the whole week.
It might. I kind of feel like I need to put a filter in my mouth just to drink this coffee.
Yeah. Wait, you don't normally do that, or?
Not usually.
I just pour it through a surgical mask that I wear on my face.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, that's how you get the good stuff.
Yeah.
Sort of, and then later you can wring out the surgical mask and just like get the grounds. All right, now this week, this is Sam week.
Apparently.
Okay. So a bunch of stuff happened last week.
To Sam.
It's sort of like there was a whirlwind and Sam was kind of the eye of the storm last week.
Yeah, I like to think that I wasn't causing all the mischief that happened, but I was involved in every single part of that. I was the common denominator.
So let's kick this off by talking about the shake incident.
Okay.
I think this is important. It's an important sort of linchpin for the remainder of the story.
Okay, so we've talked in the podcast a lot about building a good routine, about how all of us feel like we're kind of we're kind of absent-minded or idiots in a day-to-day capacity. But we managed to get a lot of stuff done because we have all these routines and systems in place. So one of mine is when I wake up in the morning, I have these shakes, and usually I just take the shake, walk out to my car, put it in the cup holder.
This is like a bottled protein shake with a cap on it.
And then usually I just drive off. And as I'm en route to the Butterscotch HQ and the gym, then I unscrew it and drink it while I'm driving. Okay, drinking and driving protein shakes. So, I
highly recommended.
I woke up a little bit early last week, and I was just feeling super proactive. I don't know if you guys have some of those days sometimes where you're like, I'm just ahead of the game. And everything you're doing, you're just like a little more planned out than usual. So that was my day. So
not my mornings. Definitely not my mornings.
So I've only had a few in the morning. This is one of those. It was like a sort of special light situation, right? You wake up.
So this is one of those rare mornings.
Yeah, it's like the light beams are coming into your window.
Yeah, I'm feeling like a Disney princess. Everything's going. Birds are chirping. So I get all my stuff together, and I don't have any of my normal sort of memory slips where I'll forget something in the house multiple times because I'm waking up in the morning and it's terrible. So I get everything rounded up. Got my bag, got my gym bag, got this protein shake, and I go out to the car, put everything in the car, go around to the driver's seat, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be extra proactive today. I'm gonna open my shake before I start driving, right? Because that way I can just drink it instead of having to try to fumble with it via like once at a stop sign or en route. So I'm feeling extremely proactive and uncap this thing, set it down, driving. Get no more than 2 blocks from my house, and then just grab the shake and shake it in the car. So the cap is off, and it just vomits out protein shake all over me, and I'm just sitting there like I probably did a good at least two shakes, because like you don't really know what's happening. It was just all automatic, and then I pulled over, had to clean up my car and stuff. But the important lesson here is that if you're going to modify your habits or your subroutines,
do it as it relates to open beverage containers.
Keep that in mind. If you forgot that you normally shake a thing, don't you dare.
This reminds me of like a scenario where maybe like you're drinking a cup of coffee and you also have water, right? And then you forget which one is on which side and you just absently grab the wrong one and you bring it to your mouth and suddenly it's like What the fuck is happening?
Oh yeah, there's that
moment. There's that moment of calibration where you think you're about to drink water and you get coffee instead, and there's that panic moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, with with popsicles and stuff, so your body can't, on first blush, cannot discern between really cold and really hot. So you see this in The Punisher. They did that little thing where he fake tortured a guy he sizzled a steak that the guy couldn't see and then poked him in the back with a popsicle. Right. The guy's like, oh my God, no. Because the thing is, you can't actually tell the difference for a brief moment. And so, it's the same thing where sometimes these things happen where you're trying to calibrate what the response should be, but you just don't have the info.
Or isn't there those experiments where they have like a fake hand and they tickle it with a feather or something, and your brain is like,
that's mine.
That's my hand. Yeah, I also saw one where they would do that. They would do that little feather thing, and then all of a sudden the guy would take out a hammer and just smash the fake hand.
Yeah.
And every single person's like, bah! And then
a lot of people feel pain when they do that. Yeah. Briefly.
Yep.
Until the brain's
it only takes like 3 seconds for your brain to be like, I guess this is my hand now. This is my world. All right, so you covered your car in shake.
Yep, so that was step 1. All
right, so step 1.
It was a good week last week.
So also you are giving 2 talks at GDC.
Yes.
And this week you are our sole strike team to travel to Las Vegas.
Yes.
To go to the DICE Awards.
Yes.
Where Crash
stands for something one of us remembers.
Design, innovation,
entertainment.
Probably. Entertainment.
What is it? C? What's the C?
C is
charisma. It's probably just an acronym for like a RPG leveling system.
Yeah.
It's like dexterity,
right?
Intelligence, charisma, and endurance.
Yeah. So we leveled up. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. So we leveled up. So now we get to go
distribute some points across those.
We got to go to Las Vegas to spend some talent points.
I'm really looking forward to it. So they have a bunch of cool stuff. They got round tables. So it's just the reason we're going, because we got invited to just the awards, right? And they give you a free ticket to the awards, and it's just on Thursday. But they said, if you want to come to the actual conference, you can. And we're like, what's the point? And they basically just pointed out that essentially all the people who go are just, it's a bunch of studio heads and people who run a bunch of games businesses. And so
folks who know things.
Yeah, folks who know things and who might be able to help us out in the future. So it's just a huge networking opportunity. So I signed up for a bunch of different activities. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 different roundtables I'm doing, which
arts and crafts.
Probably, yeah. I wish there's arts and crafts. It'd be killer. So there's 3 different roundtables I'm doing, and those are basically, it's like 10 people, and then it's just led by one person. And so you don't know, I have no idea who's like in my group, but I think that's gonna be a phenomenal way. There's 3 of those over the week. And then I'm playing a Magic the Gathering tournament. Nice. By the way, have not played Magic the Gathering.
Don't you need your own cards to play?
Years. They do. They give you all the stuff.
Oh,
because the Magic the Gathering people sponsor it, of course. So you go.
That's how they get you hooked.
But they do. It's called a 2-headed giant tournament. So you actually partner up with someone. You get like randomly paired together, and then you 2 go and battle, and it's a huge tournament.
Oh, so they just hand you a BFF.
Yeah. So I was like, this sounds good. I'm going to need friends while I'm there since I got done coming in. So
is the tournament early on in the experience?
Yeah, I think it's on Tuesday night, I think.
Cool.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. And then there's a red carpet showing on Thursday.
This is the C part, the charisma.
Yeah. So
carpet.
Because Crash Lands was nominated for DICE's best mobile game of the year alongside Reigns and Clash Royale and Pokemon Go.
And something
one other one that I can't remember.
Yeah, I always forget that one.
But because we were nominated,
that's probably with all those games, one that wins.
It's probably because we were nominated alongside all those games. We get to go to the awards and actually get treated as if we're awardees, I guess.
Mm-hmm. People who matter,
VIPs. So they have a red carpet that you walk, and IGN is doing the coverage for it. So there's going to be a Twitch channel. We'll tweet it out and stuff on Thursday. But there'll be like an hour and a half or so. So I'm going to try to find, I don't know how this works. So I'm just going to try to find whatever camera to talk to. And I'll be like, shout out to my Butterscotch. I'm going to go wild. It'll be fun.
And then you're going to rip off your suit. And underneath is a Flux Dabes cosplay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a Hugo cosplay. That's just a giant orb.
Yeah. So Sam's been prepping for that. And then also Sam has been prepping for GDC because we talked about our talk strategy, how we got these talks.
I think so.
We may have vaguely mentioned. So we've applied for a few GDC talks in the past, and
just universal shot down.
It's usually like one at a time. We put like a ton of energy into each one. And then this year we were like, all right, we see how this goes, So if they're not going to take one of ours and there's no limit on how many you can submit, we're going to submit 11. And so we did.
We turned it up to 11.
So I think it took me like 4.5 days to write all of the like 11 different.
Well, let's step back one step and ask, why should we give a GDC talk?
So
what's the point of doing this?
The intent of doing the talk is to make it so that we become people who people know that they can talk to, basically, at the end of the day. Because like we never got to have a lot of mentorship in a lot of the early years, and anybody who asked for it turned us down pretty much across the board. So so we want to be present and available. And we think we're doing pretty cool stuff. And so we want to talk about the cool stuff we're doing and hopefully help some people dodge some of the pitfalls we did. And so it's really about becoming known in the industry itself, as opposed to just from a player standpoint. And the reason that's important down the line is that you have no idea where anybody in the industry is going to be in like 5 years. And so one of our people who we meet at one of these talks, or who comes up and asks a question afterwards, might end up working for some company who helps us get a distribution deal or helps us with plushies or something. You just never know. So it's good to have all these connections, and doing the talk thing essentially lets you do a shitload of work up front to do it. But then once you actually give the talk, it's like a way of like power networking, I guess.
Well, it's just like, it's a springboard to kick off a whole bunch of conversations with interesting people who you otherwise, because like if you're in a room at the front of the room on the stage talking for an hour about stuff that people find interesting and useful, then afterwards they're going to remember you and they'll come up and they'll chat with you about stuff, and you get, exchange business cards, do finger guns at each other.
Yeah, but I think it's a high gain networking opportunity, right? Because it's you talking to potentially like 200 people at once, like just at once.
And then being archived.
Yeah, and then being archived. And you don't get to do that at all in the industry. So being able to...
And when you do, it's typically for very different kinds of communities than that, right? Because GDC is a unique thing in that it's everybody that you're there talking to when you go give a talk self-selected themselves to come listen to what you have to say, right? Meaning they're into whatever you're into and whatever you're talking about. And they are in the games industry. So it's a self-selected, perfect, large group of people that are somehow relevant to what you care about.
If you're going to give a talk, this is the best place to do it in theory.
Yeah. So we're pretty sure that there's going to be some sort of, the truth is like, it's extremely costly to go to GDC. It's extremely costly, at least for us, to develop one of these talks, because we really give a shit about the talks. And so we put a lot of time and energy into it.
Not just going to show up and wing it.
Yeah. I'd say about like a third to a half of the talks at GDC that we've been to in the past have been, frankly, just not
wung.
Yeah, they've been wung, thoroughly wung.
We wanged it.
And it's always confused me, because I'm like, it's just a huge opportunity for you to put a good face on for your company and that sort of thing, and just impress people. And a lot of people just seem to kind of, I guess, just maybe I don't know if maybe they didn't take the shotgun approach, so they haven't worked quite so hard to get into GDC in the first place. So maybe that's just us coming from this position. But yeah, so
but I think even more than that, actually, I'm not even sure that they were necessarily wung so much as. Just in general, most people don't have opportunities to give talks, right? And
so not a lot of practice.
Not a lot of practice. And so a talk that, when somebody's never given a talk before, or hasn't given a lot of talks actually, when you put a talk together, it's going to feel like you winged it, right? Because like it's going to be kind of sloppy, and you're going to be stumbling a bit. And if people try to memorize stuff, which often they do, then it feels very like artificial and stilted, and and so it actually takes an enormous amount of practice giving talks to diverse audiences before you can.
Well, you can kind of think about it like making a video game, right? I mean, the first game you make,
like anything,
the first game you make, you don't have enough background to actually think about it from the perspective of the player, right? You're just thinking about what would be cool to make,
right?
And it turns out, what's cool to make isn't always great to play, And I think talks come the same way.
And we've all had a lot of actually experience giving talks and stuff in the past couple of years. Mine have been primarily, in the last 2 years, have been primarily in the talking about cancer stuff realm. I gave a talk to like 1,100 people a few months ago for bone marrow transplant celebration thing. Did a PK talk, which is the 6-minute, 40-second talk where the slides move.
On YouTube, I think.
Yeah, that one's up on YouTube.
Although that was in the midst of a thunderstorm in a warehouse. In a warehouse where the roof was just like a steel roof.
Right.
It was, you could just hear the rain just pounding the whole time.
But yes, my goal was to get, at least for the Crashlands postmortem talk, was to give a talk that was good enough. So it's supposed to be, it covers the story of developing the game, but then also gives people a bunch of good sort of nuggets that they can use to do better with their stuff. And my goal is to get a standing ovation with that one.
Nice.
That's my goal. So
you're aiming too low.
I'm gonna cause a riot
cause a riot. Get some maybe a backflipping ovation.
Yeah, backflipping ovation.
Your talk was good when all of a sudden the entire audience just starts doing backflips.
Or they build a giant human pyramid.
And then that does a backflip.
And that does backflip.
They build a human rocket and just go to space.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. So my goal is to give a standing ovation worthy. That's my catch-all.
At a minimum.
Talk at a minimum. And then the other one is the history Butterscotch one, and that's a talk designed for other people who are either indies or sort of just starting out, or maybe have been around the business for a while but are looking to do stuff with their studio. And it just talks about our trajectory from day one as a studio, when it was just Seth and I building Talfight, all the way up to today.
So it's going to condense 4.5 years into 25
minutes. Yeah,
25 minutes.
And that one's
with data and graphs and charts. And
that one's a whirlwind.
Yeah, we need to collect some data.
But yeah, so I've been prepping for all those things, and talks always loom heavy. We've talked about this before, but they're because they're important enough that you need to do them right, but also it's not your job. You know, I'm supposed to be making games, and so it's been hard to be, because Seth and Tifa will be working on some part of the game thing, or Adam wants to talk about some aspect of Butterscotch ID 2.0, and the next day we're working on, and I'm like, I need to get back to these talks.
Yeah. This comes right back to that
questionable
the problem
value
of, with our past year of work and learning how to manage expanding our capacity and expanding our bandwidth. And even with now, so we have 7 people in the studio. But even with that, it's still going to be the case that going to GDC, it does shut down a lot of our production capability.
Well, and we're taking
for
most
weeks,
of the team.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something that we're still figuring out how to deal with and how to still manage well. We're still making pretty good progress on the game, but once GDC is done, it's gonna go fast.
Turbo mode on that thing so hard.
We're gonna be blazing it.
Yeah, 420
blazing it like you wouldn't believe. And then otherwise in Sam news this week, last week,
like the Trump administration.
Last week, it's just a whirlwind of activity. Nobody can keep up. Sam, last week we went with Monique, our new studio wrangler, out to Panera. And I don't know why we didn't mention this on the podcast last week. This happened right before the podcast last week.
Yeah, I just forgot about it.
And we're in the parking lot and we're just chatting stuff and we're about to leave. And then all of a sudden, boom, we're like, what the fuck? Sam is in drive, about to travel, about to exit the parking lot. And the car just suddenly jolts. And we look back and there's this giant SUV behind us that has just backed into Sam's rear bumper. And we're like, oh shit. And then moments later, we get hit again because this person, I guess their vehicle was so huge that they couldn't see. Yeah. And so they were just like, I'm meeting some resistance. I guess I'll just power through it because I'm in an SUV and that's how we do. So you got a nice crushed in bumper.
Sort of corner of my bumper is just pretty solidly pulverized.
But it was weird because it was maybe like a 1 mile an hour collision. It was very calm. It was very weak.
Yeah.
I felt bad for the driver of the other vehicle because she was very distraught. She was like, "Oh my God, did I hurt anybody?" We're like, "It's fine."
But it was also hilarious because the way that she then described everything that happened was so absurd. Because she was just, what did she say? She was like,
the best part was I was like, because her bumper was completely unscathed. Yeah. And I was like, "Wow, you got a really resilient bumper." And she's like, "Oh no. Every other time I've hit somebody, it's been completely crushed." And I'm like, How many times have you hit people with this vehicle?
And she explained it that because she has one of those rear view cameras, and she just made some comment about how, it doesn't work. It just doesn't seem to be working very well right now. And so I don't know. I didn't know how to interpret that, as if she's just looking at a black screen, driving in reverse.
I think so. But her follow up to that was that she said it was too sensitive, so she had
because it had a beep. So it was like you're too close to stuff, and it would beep.
Yeah. But she said she was getting annoyed because it was beeping all the time. Okay, it sounds like she's been in a lot of reverse accidents. It's beeping all the time, so she went to the dealer and had them tune it down,
tune down the sensitivity.
And so now she just doesn't actually look behind her. She just starts driving in reverse.
So I guess for her it was like, okay, it's a Monday. I'm just backing into people.
So
she's probably got a stockpile of bumpers.
She was very kind. So we swapped info, did all the all the crap. I got the notes out to the insurance company, waiting for all that. But I was like, what?
Yeah. It was nice that it wasn't one of those like enraged.
Those are my least favorite because you're already dealing with property damage on both parts.
And the thing is, it's an accident. By definition, it wasn't on purpose because it was an accident. So, no need to escalate it. Right. But yeah, so that happened last week. Just to add that onto the pod.
It's been a journey.
It has.
These past couple
All right,
days.
so let's get on to some questions.
Yes, please.
These questions come from podcast.bscotch.net. These are asked by members of our Bscotch ID community. Some of them are anonymous, but we don't really tend to answer those.
Yeah.
So, if you want if you want your question answered, buckle your shoes, get yourself a Bscotch ID, get in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So first question comes from Ryan Dolph. There's just a lot of consonants in a row here. I'm not quite sure how to deal with it. NDLF. Ryan Dolph.
Okay.
Be honest.
It's like Gandalf.
Be honest.
Yeah, okay.
Are you annoyed that I've listened to all of your podcasts and haven't played Crashlands?
Oh.
It's not you, it's me. I'm a fellow developer and I don't find time to play mini games. Which brings me to my second question. How much time should a developer spend gaming? Okay, so first of all, super annoyed.
How dare you?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking we should just probably shut the whole thing down.
Yeah,
I can't.
That's the only.
I can't operate in these conditions. Second question: how much time should a developer?
Should a dev?
So this weekend, I put probably maybe 20 hours into Kerbal Space Program.
For real?
Nice.
Yeah. And this was the first time in probably a year that I've just been like, I'm going to spend like an entire Friday evening and Saturday just playing video games. Yeah.
I did that
I haven't done that in so freaking long.
Yeah, I did that with Pokemon Sun and Moon when that came out. That was my most recent one. So basically it transfers from being like a day-to-day hobby to being a binge.
Yeah, you're
scenario.
like finally I have a day. One day every 6 months that I can play video.
Time to crush this thing. I mean, the longest, one of those big RPGs. Like I used to love playing those huge RPGs like Fallout and Dragon Age and all that stuff. But they take so fucking long that now I actually can't. Like there's a barrier to entry for me because the time required is so high. So the last one of those that I got to play, both the last ones were when I was waiting for my transplant in the hospital. Because that was the only time where I had like a guaranteed week where I could just be like, I'm gonna do whatever I want. No one can tell me to do anything wrong.
You're not like you're coming up on a transplant. There's all this shit going on. You're not in a high enough mental state that you can focus on getting shit done.
Right.
But you're still functional.
Right.
So you're in that nice gray zone.
Right.
Like,
I'll
just play some video games.
Yeah, just as a reference point. I mean, that's the last time where I got to play one of those big RPGs.
Going through chemotherapy.
Yeah. So you don't play much.
Yeah. I mean,
when was the last time you played something, man?
I've been having trouble getting into. I used to be able to get into a game and just like play the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
But it's just, and I don't know. I can't tell if it's because games are changing or if I'm changing.
I think there's two things. I think one is it is generally known, and you may this may not be true. So tell me if so.
Okay.
That as you get older, your capacity to release dopamine into your brain decreases.
I have no idea.
So basically, just from a neurological perspective, you just can't enjoy things as much as you age.
It's the curse of living.
So eventually, you just don't give a fuck about anything.
And then you just yell at people on your lawn, I guess.
You're like, I don't have any dopamine left. Get the fuck out of here. So that's one possibility.
Okay.
And another is that I think a lot of the fun of games comes from the novelty.
Yeah.
And when you are, and even though, you always talk about how you're not actively creating the games because you're
but I'm around the.
But you're there, right? Yeah, you're there. You're actively in the discussions and everything, and you do spend a substantial proportion of your time. Just like Sam and me, you spend a substantial proportion of your time analyzing and thinking about what makes a game work, right? And so, I have a talk on game loops, talk on balance. Sam and I are teaching this course at WashU on video game development. And so we spend so much of our time thinking about what makes games work that when we play a game, there's just not really much in it that is new or surprising.
Right.
Like the only new stuff is basically going to be like how it looks, or because like pretty much every game has some core components to it that are very recognizable as like video game things. And so it's like the scene in The Matrix when Neo sees the code, like he now understands how the universe works.
Yeah, I wonder if it's basically that forecasting engine, right? So your brain's getting better and better at reading patterns. in games in particular. And then so when you boot it up, when you play it literally for 5 minutes, you're like, I know this is good. Yeah. Where usually that would take like 6-12 hours before you see what's happening. So I tried to play Divinity Original Sin this weekend.
What kind of a game is that?
It's a slightly older school style RPG. It's modern, but you have a little party, run around. Everybody's got spells, turn-based combat, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And it is very well done. It's very funny. The writing's great, voiceover for everything. But yeah, I was struggling to. I think I played it for an hour. Mm-hmm. And the whole time I was just like, I still don't care about this yet.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's probably a super good game.
It's good. It is good. It's won tons of awards. But I was getting at this too because I was like, what is happening? Because I haven't had that.
Well, so I have another theory. Okay, I have another probably bigger theory than this, which is, so what does a video game do? What does it do for you? And I think most of us play games because games are that weird entertainment media that you get pride from, right? It's like, you can't win a book, and when you watch a movie, you're not like, yeah, I did that. Right. You're watching other people, interact or like do a story or whatever. So in a video game, the game, presents you with challenges. It gives you some tools to overcome those challenges. And the fun of a game comes from using those tools effectively and taking ownership of the victory that you have, right? Mm-hmm. Overcoming the obstacles. If you are in a position where normally you are like overcoming lots and lots of obstacles and you're feeling very challenged, just like all the time in your day to day, then I think video games offer less to you, perhaps, because it fills that gap that for a lot of people, like
but the win isn't real because you're getting the win in real life, and then now this is a fake win. Right.
Well, a win is a win, I think. Right? Because like,
if a win was a win, then I would be equally happy solving a programming problem in real life as I would be solving a game program, which is actually, because I think you're exactly right. I was playing a Human Resource Machine last night. Yeah. Which is awesome. It's super fun. It's basically, it's a game where you're sort of drip fed functions, or not even functions, control statements that you can use for programming. And you just program a little character to move numbers around. Like that's all it is. Right. But they give you so little that you have to go back and like really think about algorithm design to ask like, okay, if you want to take two numbers and then put a 0 in the outbox if they have the same sign, but all you have is an if negative statement, an if 0 statement, and a sum.
So it's like a programming puzzle.
It's a programming puzzle. And so I was playing this and it was super fun. I was getting really into it. And then it started to get really hard because again, it was just like, it's the algorithm problem. And then the satisfaction I was getting out of that was the same that I get every day as a programmer, right?
Exactly.
Except now, when I got to the end of it, I was just like,
nothing happened.
Nothing. Yeah, like you move on.
You don't have anything useful,
right?
Sure. But I think it's similar to like if you run a marathon, right? Like you run a marathon, it's your first time, whatever. You train for it for months, and you see progress all the time, and you finish that marathon, and you're super fucking proud of yourself, right? As you should be, because that's an amazing thing to do. To me, like that's the same kind of feeling as what somebody gets like when they land on Duna in Kerbal Space Program for the first time.
I guess the question is,
because in both cases, like you completing a marathon does not affect anything else outside of that particular sphere, right? You get to post on Facebook or something like, I did this thing, but shit, you can do that with Kerbal Space Program too.
But I disagree. I think in principle, because unlike in something like Kerbal Space Program, where you can go do that, and I agree, you feel a sense of pride, having done that. Nobody else in your entire like sphere of the universe gives a shit about that as much as you do. But if you go complete a marathon, well, that's what everybody around you is impressed.
Yeah, right? But that's what the Kerbal Space Program subreddit is for. Sure. There are online communities of people.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's not there at all, but I guess my question is if you are the kind of person who runs marathons and plays Kerbal Space Program, does being like in your daily thing is
the thing is I think it's unlikely that you would be,
right? That's
because you already have a thing that you're proud of for doing, and that's your thing,
right? I don't think you can really like get the satisfaction out of both, probably.
Correct.
The same level.
Yeah.
But the question is,
because there's a cost to doing either, which is that you're not doing the other.
Right? Right. Yeah. But so for me, then that last piece of that puzzle is something about doing things like in the real world, or that have real world consequences you get to see, or that people generally perceive as of being like valuable, right? Is that the kind of thing that if you do that one instead of accomplishing something awesome in a video game, is that the thing that always then ends up winning in that
Probably.
battle?
I think so. I think it's just the case that it's just the reality that in a game, games are designed to get you from A to Z, whatever your big goal is.
Right.
Well, they're designed to present you with the tools and the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And the real world,
you still have to do the work.
Yeah, but the real world is not designed as such.
The real
which
world
means
sucks at delivering proud moments.
So it totally sucks as far as, like, for example, if you're listening to this podcast and one of your goals is to be a game dev, that is a super hard and vague path to go down because there's no design laid out for you as far as here's how you do X, Y, Z based on your situation. And the thing is that because that's lacking, I think it's easy to find that sense of achievement and that sense of controlled growth through video games. Mm-hmm. But once you're in a position where, say, you are working on your game dev career, like the question asker, or anything that you really have been wanting to do, you sort of crack the door open, get a pinky hold, then it makes perfect sense that actually is the thing that you want to do from here on out. And I think that's why, like, all of us don't play games nearly as much as we used to. And I think it's a large part of it is I still do because I feel like I basically have a habit to go try to now. I guess that's the way I put it. I don't have a habit to actually play games.
Yeah.
But I have a habit to go boot up Steam.
Yeah, Steam is the thing that I just boot up all the time.
Yeah. I look through my library. I have like an hour. I'm like, I'm going to play something because apparently that's just what I do. And then start playing it and then become bored within a short period of time and then move on with my life.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting. I love seeing mechanics and stuff. But the thing is, I could watch YouTube videos if I wanted to. Truthfully, I could just watch a YouTube video of someone playing a game and know what the mechanics are.
So I think it's interesting because to me, like, video games provide an experience that people absolutely need.
Yep.
Which is to feel a sense of accomplishment and pride at having done something meaningful, right? Like, people need this in their lives, and it's just hard to get in a lot of cases. And if you're getting it from something else, like running marathons or your day-to-day work or whatever it is, then you're just not going to need the thing that games provide, which I think is maybe an unconventional perspective on games. That is actually, it's creating a social good. It's it's filling a void that the rest of the world doesn't fill.
But I think it's also the case that while games are a vehicle to do that, the medium in which games live can be used for things that, kind of like we talked about earlier, like Twitter is an empty vessel of information, right? Mm-hmm. You feel like you're getting something, so it makes you keep coming back, but you're actually getting nothing. And I think there are many games, actually most games are exactly the same, where you go in expecting to get that sense of accomplishment, but they don't actually give it to you, right?
Right.
Which then gives this like layer of emptiness.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what I've been feeling.
But personally, it's like when so Fallout 3 is still one of my favorite games of all time. Although, and even now, like if I go back and like want to play a game, like if I boot up Fallout 4 or New Vegas, which are both good games on their own, like they don't feel great to play. Like I can play them for a couple hours and I'm like, that's enough. But I could still go back and play the entirety of Fallout 3 again. And I don't know how much of that has to do with exactly these things where that game felt like hard. Yeah. From the moment that I started playing it, and it felt like there was all this interesting stuff in the world. And if I could go back and like forget a game and then play it again for the first time, it would be that one, right? Because like the whole coming out of the underground vault, and you walk outside, you have no idea what's happening. There's just like town off in the, but you don't even know how to use your navigation system yet, and so that whole learning process of figuring out how to do it was very cool, and something that I think now that I've done that, I can't really enjoy any game that's
so for me, it's also about escalating the challenge, right? So my Kerbal Space Program save, I disabled quick loading,
right?
So I have to do everything perfectly the first time, and so just like my last thing I was doing, I was like, I'm going to go to Duna, which is sort of like Mars, right? And so I go there and I got super overconfident on my descent, and I crashed my spaceship in such a way that it had 5 engines on it, and all of the engines exploded except for one. So I'm like, how the fuck am I going to salvage this situation? And so I end up getting it. I still did my science. I got it up into orbit, and now it's stuck in orbit without enough fuel because with only one engine, I had to ditch a bunch of other things to have to get it into orbit, right? So now my next mission is like, okay, now I need to basically make a tugboat and go over there and hook it up to this craft and drag it back.
You basically start causing your own problem.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's what life is all about.
That is exactly what it's about.
And so, so that's, I think, so to answer the question of like how much time you should spend gaming, I think if you are, this may be a controversial opinion. I think if you're a game developer, and you are at a point where, because like as a game developer, you make your own problems. right?
It's your job.
Your job is to decide what to do next and then do that thing. And
you're inventing an entire universe, which is just a collection of problems.
Yeah. And there is literally an infinite number of interesting problems for you to solve. And so weirdly, I think the amount of time you should spend gaming is as little as possible.
Yeah. Because you should only do it for research purposes.
Yeah. Because the thing that gaming gives to you, which is that sense of accomplishment, you can easily get that from doing your own thing already. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So that's what I think. If you're making games, you don't play games, you do research.
Yeah. So actually I booted up.
You're not a gamer anymore.
I played Diablo 2.
Yeah, actually, I just downloaded this weekend too. I was gonna try to reminisce a bit and see how it holds up. You know,
it's good. Yeah. So, but the thing is, I didn't realize actually it's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Which one?
And Diablo 2.
Diablo 2.
And I was playing as an Amazon, so because I've never actually played as one before. So I got a bow, got some arrows, and I was like, "It's gonna be great because I'm ranged. I can just murder everything. It's gonna be fun." No, like you have to manage. You have to run around like a maniac to shoot people with bow and arrow, and every enemy sprints at you to start with. Like they all just come just rushing at you, and so you gotta poke them in the face with the bolt and then run away and then start. So it was way more active and frantic than I remember it being.
Yeah. Unlike Diablo 3, which is just
that's the thing. It was literally, this game was hard. Like actually, we were talking about the potion usage stuff. Like, oh yeah, you're always chugging potions. You have to use this fucking like you get murdered. Yeah.
You'll just get murdered
all the time.
But well, and when we were playing Diablo 3, we kept being like, what the hell? This is stupidly easy.
Yeah,
we kept jacking up the difficulty level. We turned it on
like Torment 3
we
or
turned
something.
it up to the absolute maximum, and we were still just mowing shit down.
Well, no, because then they would have like a pack of infinitely powerful things that would suddenly appear. So you'd go from it being really easy to it being literally impossible. That was the only.
And then you just sort of like you corpse battle, as in you fight
resurrect,
it, you die, you resurrect, you come back, fight it, you die, and you're just like you just keep throwing your body against it.
When I played through it, I was like, oh. This is good. I mean, it's real good. And I was like, no wonder because it has a high skill cap actually.
Yeah.
Even though you just have that one move where you eventually are like, as a sorceress, for example, shooting at a frozen orb or some shit, but you don't get that until way later.
Yep.
You don't get the really powerful ones until way later. And even then the enemies scale up to such a way that there's more and more rushing of the character, and there's more and more
the fucking jungle
stuff. Yeah, the jungle
like with those little tiny guys with those knives.
Yeah. Well, and they have you can even screw up your stats, for example. So I remember as a barbarian, I was like, "Hey, I'm going to be a dual axe barbarian." And by the time I get up to the jungle, I hadn't put enough points into dexterity. And all of a sudden, I'm missing like 60% of the time. Right. And so now all of a sudden, I have to figure out like, how do I kill things, get the XP I need so that I can get my dexterity back up? Because
you can make bad decisions.
Yeah, you can make really bad decisions, and then you just got to live with them.
Yeah.
I think this is what I was getting at with Fallout 4 or Fallout 4 versus Fallout 3 is when I played Fallout 3, I found it really challenging and really interesting. But with Fallout 4, I feel like the trade-off but it also could just be having developed expertise, right, in the game. But I feel like the trade-off has been there's now infinite stuff to do in this fucking game. Like you walk 10 steps, now there's like this giant building that you can go clear, right? And but none of it feels important in any way. Like in Fallout 3, there was a lot less stuff, but it all felt like it somehow mattered. I think because there was less of it actually. Mm-hmm. And so every time I cleared a building there, like I had that challenge of like clearing something in Fallout 3, and like you could like get little pieces of story, you'd find some cool loot at the end, all that kind of stuff would happen. And in Fallout 4, you just clear stuff for no fucking reason. You just stumble across the thing, and then you can clear it, and it'll give you a little cleared tag right on the map, so you can feel like, oh yeah, I finished that.
Oh, interesting.
Right? But there's not like most things don't have any good loot. Most things have very minimal, not very compelling story actually, because they still like Fallout does a good job of like putting stuff in there, but it's just a bunch of enemies that you fought 1,000 times before because it's the same enemies as in Fallout 3 and in New Vegas, right? Huh. So I feel like that. And that's what I was wondering if a lot of the sort of the modern trend, especially for franchises, where they need to keep on recreating the same fucking game over and over again, is just to pack quote unquote content into there, which just means stuff to do.
Well, this is an interesting question because this comes down to the question of balance, right? Which is balance, as we see it as sort of it's the meeting between game challenge and player skill. And if a game is balanced well, then it allows you as a player to extract that pride from it because those things are calibrated properly. And so something that I've noticed is that with each successive expansion pack released for World of Warcraft, the game becomes more and more quote accessible. meaning all the content in the game is just sort of handed to you. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do anything to work your way towards it. And it makes this feeling of nothing mattering and nothing being worth doing at all.
Yeah, I think just playing. I think this is why people love the fuck out of Dark Souls, right? Which I still haven't played. I haven't gotten into.
Because you got to earn everything
it's
that you do.
It's impossibly difficult, and it creates an obsession about it because then every time you accomplish anything, even like killing the first enemy, right? You get a true sense of accomplishment that you can't get from just most games. I think most games, it's this trend towards this emptiness of gameplay, where it's just like,
I think it's
tight loops that make you keep playing, but not with any true.
It's confusion of compulsion for meaning, I think. Yeah. So I saw a really good screenshot speaking of Fallout where I think it was Fallout 2, the old isometric one, and then like the choices that you had after talking in a piece of dialogue, which are these like ridiculous cool things that you could do. And then in Fallout 3, they were much more limited, but you still had a bunch of stuff. And then Fallout 4, you basically just have like one word answers almost.
Just like
on nearly everything. Yeah, you're like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And they talk about how that general trend as far as you feeling like you're participating.
Yeah.
You no longer feel like you're participating in a really.
You feel like you're more observing. But Fallout, like fucking Moira Brown from Fallout 3 was still one of my favorite characters and parts of story of all time. Like all she is a quest hub, right? Mm-hmm. But you go to her, she just says like these just goofy fucking things, sends you on these quests, you have these like fun conversations with her, And yeah, they are still quite limited, but compared to Fallout 4, where it's like because you don't know what you're gonna say because the character still says some stuff, right? But they're like, you choose the gist.
Yeah,
and then she'll actually and then your character decides what to say, right? Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
We'll have to think more about this. Maybe we'll hit this again in a future episode. We got to get to the next question. Okay. This question comes from Security Risk. There it is again. I mean, I'm trusting this person less and less.
Mm-hmm. Keeps showing up.
Security Risk says, what was the ultimate factor in your decision to leave your jobs and make video games for a living? Also, was it scary jumping into the unknown with just your savings to live on? Okay, so let's unpack this. So I guess
we all have a different answer.
Yeah, well, a different answer. For me, actually, kind of the first leap off point was when I dropped out of law school, which I don't know. I knew that I didn't want to be doing what I was currently doing, and I had been making games on my own for a year. And so I thought, I would rather be making basically no money and scraping by and doing a thing I'm interested in than doing something that I can't stand, but having lots of money. Because what's the money for at that point, right? Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, shortly after that happened, I moved down to St. Louis, and Sam and I both started working at a studio here. But the decision to jump off on our own was, I think, one of, we kept doing jams and seeing what we were capable of just as a two-person team for Sam and me. It just kept hitting this question. We're just like, why aren't we just doing this? Yep. Right. Because we were in a larger studio where our contributions to things got a lot, kind of like mixed in with the group, and everything had to be approved and stuff like
everything
that.
Just moved much slower in the larger group.
Yeah, and so the amount of, again, like there's that question of like the amount of pride and satisfaction we were able to get from that was, I think, diminished. Not necessarily because we weren't able to like an ego thing where we weren't able to be like, this is mine, I did this.
Yeah, it was more about just being able to go fast.
Yeah.
We literally wanted to do more.
We wanted to make bigger, cooler things. And with, 20, 30 people on a team,
there's a lot of wrangling.
There's just, and it's everybody. There's just a lot of consensus reaching that has to happen, and seeing what could be done in a weekend with two people. It just seemed crazy that things were moving at that pace. Right. So after, so we saved up for that, and we're just like, let's just go for it. I think we just did a bunch of calculus.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a really interesting, how I built this podcast episode by the guy who does Cliff Bar. Yep. And he makes a really, I think it was the Samuel Adams guy. Actually, I think that episode where he talks about the difference between danger and risk.
Right. Yeah.
And how a lot of people confuse the two. Right. And the thing is, it was not, so danger is where there are potentially very ill consequences to whatever you're going to do. Mm-hmm. Risk is essentially where you're putting yourself into a place where there might be some losses and stuff, but nothing's going to, like, your life as you know it is not necessarily going to be.
You're not
destroyed.
Over.
Yeah. And so
the bottom that you could hit from that risky thing is not that bad of a place.
Yeah. So, all of us have at least a college degree. Adam's got the PhD. Mm-hmm. That's a CFA.
I could just go work in finance.
Yeah. So I'm the least educated of the bunch, truthfully. So, but when we were doing this sort of calculus for leaving that studio and starting Butterscotch, a big part of it came down to understanding that if this did not go, that we would be totally fine because
we'd find other things.
We would find other things to do, and the fact that we had started a studio and created 2 games, which was our goal with that first chunk of money we had, the fact that we would have that under our belt meant that we guessed we could leverage that into a good career opportunity somewhere at a tech company or something like that.
Yeah, and actually, in the U.S., I think there are some cultures that if you make a failed startup, that's viewed negatively on your resume, because it's always a question of like, well, okay, so you want to go off and do your own thing, so we don't want to hire you for that, and also you even failed at it, so obviously you aren't capable.
Stigma for failure.
But here in the U.S., the culture is very, it cheers entrepreneurs for just like going and taking risks and trying to do things. So, and also people know that most startups don't succeed.
Right.
So I mean, it's a positive thing on your resume in theory.
Yeah, well, and it's actually, even if you lose a substantial amount of money or just lost income from doing that, think of the cost of education, right? So like the cost of going to college is probably a hell of a lot more than the cost of you failing at a startup.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're going to learn, depending on how you do it and how good of a job you do of attacking that problem.
Ideally, way more.
You're going to learn actually potentially way more than you would have in college.
I mean, we talk about this with our video game class, because if you do a game jam, then you are packing in what is essentially almost a whole semester's worth of work into a weekend. And the truth is, if you're working on a startup or on a project, I mean, every 40 hours basically is what you would get from a class.
If you're paying attention, you're going to learn in ludicrous amounts.
Yeah, which means week by week, it's essentially a class each week on how to run a business and how to do everything else. So there was no,
it's about framing.
Yeah, and I think there was actually no risk for us. And I think that's the important thing. Like we set up ourselves in such a way that we're living in St. Louis. The cost of living is very low. Seth's spouse was here and she had a job. We had the money in the bank to support ourselves for a good chunk of time. We didn't have any health issues. There were just a few loans
at the time,
like a little car and student stuff, I think he had.
Yep.
So there wasn't like a lot of debt to deal with, and we were all in like a really healthy spot. So
we were in a very privileged place.
Yeah, that's the truth. There's very little risk.
Yeah, so I think
we had no kids.
Yes.
No kids.
So no dependence of any sort.
So there's a broader point there, which is like, it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
And it would have been crazy for us not to do it, honestly, just with how many safety nets we had in place.
Absolutely.
So.
And this has been a big criticism of the games industry and actually startups in general, which is that it requires a certain level of privilege to be able to participate.
Well, I think that's not a fair criticism of that. It's a fair criticism of
everything,
the economic system we live in.
Sure, yeah. Because for example, you could, even it used to be the case that you get an unpaid internship somewhere.
Yeah.
If you don't have the money to bankroll that, like as a student, so for example, if you get an unpaid internship at like Disney or something, you still have to pay for being alive. Or a lot of, like, I did friends who did unpaid fashion internships in New York City.
Right.
Someone, like, their parents are paying for it. Someone's paying for them to be there for some amount of time.
Expensive.
Or they're taking out loans. And so if you don't
there's no such thing as cost-free living.
No, absolutely
somebody's
not.
paying the cost.
Yeah. So I think we were in a really lucky spot to be able to jump without actually having any danger, I guess.
But it is important to, if you're in a privileged enough place where you can take these kinds of risks, it's really important to frame the problem properly, right? Because if you're going to go try to start a company, know that chances are it's not going to work out, but but throw your whole being into it. And when you're spending money on that thing, think of that as the cost of tuition. The same way that you value education, so it's a thing you pay for, right? This is exactly the same thing. This is now you going and taking a chance where the one thing you're guaranteed, again, if you actually throw yourself into it, is that you're going to learn an enormous amount that's going to help you for your future stuff.
Yeah.
So that's worth
Agreed.
Something.
You're going to learn something at least. All right. So next question comes from Hainoyer.
Cool.
Hainoyer says, as mobile and PC game devs, what is your standpoint on the current mobile gaming community and the quality of most mobile games on the market today? What would you like to see or do to help improve / maintain it?
It's a big one.
Yeah. So I think, so there's a couple things in here. One, the first question is opinion or standpoint about the current mobile gaming community.
Well, I think...
And the quality of mobile games.
I'm going to back this up to the platform level. because
it's not about mobile.
So mobile is just it's an interesting platform for one particular reason, which is that 275,000 games came out last year on the App Store. 275.
Well, we also read the numbers that's 750 a day,
which is as many came out on PlayStation 4 last year.
In a year. So every day on mobile is 1 year worth of PlayStation games.
So I think the interesting thing about the concept of like a mobile community for this stuff is I think the problem essentially comes around there's not a unification in terms of devices where mobile gamers are like, do you have this or this? Like, in other words, you play on quote unquote mobile, right? It'd be asking for the console community to be a thing. Yeah. They're not as a single thing. They need their camps to fall on. People need
camps. But there are only 2 camps.
And there's only 2 camps right now. Maybe,
I guess. Well, I think the broader question is it a community?
I don't think it
is. Well, that's what I mean. So I think there's so many games for one, and so many of the games take more so of the stance of being sort of just a happy little moment in your day, and less so being like a hobby or a thing that you communicate with other people.
Yeah, you can't get passionate about them.
Yeah, that I don't think there's not actually a lot of meat for communities to develop in most.
But there are communities around specific mobile games.
Yes, the ones that have the correct.
I will say. I think the closest thing I could think of that would be a mobile gaming community would be something like the Touch Arcade forums.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which is a huge group of people who are just super pumped about specifically mobile gaming, just as a whole thing, right? And so they're always like every review or article that gets posted on Touch Arcade, there's a forum thread about it, and just hundreds of people pile on and talk about stuff, and that's definitely a thing.
Yeah, Touch Arcade's a really good hub for it. But it's interesting to me because if you look at the PC side, so like I don't know, and maybe this is just a lack of knowledge, but I don't know many other places where people congregate to talk about mobile games besides Touch Arcade forums.
Right.
Well, and of course there are the subreddits and stuff.
Yeah.
But
there's the Android gaming subreddit and the iOS gaming subreddit. Right,
and they are very active.
But they also take a very particular slant, which is those are more like anti-freemium communities. Right. Yeah, like they have a tendency to there's a hive mind mentality where it's not just like we are here to talk about great games, but there's also another sort of like subset of opinions that the community has that they sort of push into everything, which is interesting.
Right. So I think it's weird because the mobile gaming community is the biggest one, hands down, but it is also the least engaged one, hands down.
Well, I guess mobile gaming is the largest market. Yeah. But I don't know if that means that the mobile gaming community is the largest community. Because the community, I don't think you could just have like a community that doesn't give a shit. I think that's just not a community. Right.
That's fair. So, that's just a group, a mob.
Well, I think actually, to me, that's actually the interesting thing about this is it just, as you're saying, it doesn't make sense to have a mobile community because it doesn't mean anything. Right. When 250,000 games come out in a year across every possible genre imaginable, every kind of pay system imaginable, every kind of scope and quality imaginable, right? Then you can't form a community around that.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's literally too much fracturing.
Well, the community is really more about parsing it. Yeah. Like it's a community that is built around
trying to find the stuff,
to find good things in the pile of.
But everybody likes different stuff, which means even though like something like Touch Arcade does have a broad community that cares about like mobile gaming on iOS specifically. Within that, like the true communities within that care about specific, genres and specific pay systems and that kind of thing. And so when you go in and like listen to the community talk about something, it's basically actually a set of smaller communities fighting with each other. Right. And so if you go to subreddits and stuff, that's where I think you find the actual like isolated communities that care about one thing, echo chambering on themselves. Right. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the value is of having.
Well, I think let's talk about this because I think that there's always the console war, as it's literally called a war, happening, where there's sort of a fever pitch between, in this case, PlayStation and Xbox.
Well, and then you also have the PC master race,
right? So
people,
which is disgusting. But I think the really interesting thing about it is that I think there is a lack of pride associated with mobile gaming that is like generally that is not found at all in the other tribes. There is a lack of a bind there where people are not necessarily excited about it, which I find interesting because a lot of people play it, on Nintendo DS, for example. Tons of people have a DS and they're pumped about it. Not many people, I think this again comes down to a Unity problem because there's just so much shit. And also the thing that you play your games on is not built for games. And I think that kind of like it makes it harder for people to maybe step into an identity as a mobile gamer or like fall into a tribe in particular, because it's not what they got the device for. No one buys a device for a phone or for a game, you know.
But I think part of the problem too is just because the gates are absent on mobile, so that you get this huge influx of stuff. It is just true that it's mostly garbage, and because of the rise of free to play and the sort of toxic financial mechanisms that they've historically used, and we're not saying all of them do that. Definitely that's not the case. But enough of it does that it's created
the top ones.
The top ones absolutely do. And yeah, so the ones that like every time you open up the App Store, you see a mountain of free games that aren't really free. Somehow they're needling you for money.
Wait, when you open up for page, sometimes like as you look at the list, you're like, which one of these isn't gonna try to
exactly right.
Fuck me.
So there's this, which is very different because that means that your relationship with the gaming platform is one of antagonism between you and the games, because you don't know what it's going to try to do to you.
Right.
Whereas if you go on PC or console, you just buy a fucking game and play it. Right. So that's the end of the story. And I think there's that weird thing that's happened, especially if people are used to the more conventional old school way of consuming games. It feels really bad to go on a mobile and be like free. But like at first you get excited because like, oh, look at all this stuff that's just free, and you get in and play it, and it's just like it's just coming after you all the time, right? It feels bad. It becomes very clear that you're playing a game. It's not about immersion. And so it just feels like it just feels like a cheaper sort of ecosystem.
Right.
And I think until they start actually putting focus on like, premium titles and that sort of thing, I think it's always going to be the case that you can't really have pride in being a mobile gamer, because the stuff that you're exposed to, why would you be proud of that shit?
Like proud of being proud of.
We're embarrassed of having made some of those games.
Yeah. We do what we had to.
Yeah.
We're not proud of it.
We're not proud of it.
So here's a question, because the final piece to this is, what would you like to see or do to help improve or maintain the quality of mobile games?
I think all the front games that you see should be paid games.
Should free games even be allowed to be on a platform?
I mean, I'd prefer they didn't.
So this is an interesting one, because I think
I think about the Ouya. The Ouya, its big thing was people are tired of paying money for games, and we're going to create a cheap console, $100 console, where every game on there you can play for free in some capacity, right? And this thing just crashed and burned tremendously.
Well, I think it's a complete misread of the market. I don't think people are tired of paying for games. I'm not sure.
No, why
ever said that? Because if you
nobody wants to pay for anything.
Nobody wants to pay for anything. Yeah. But I think if you look at
the problem.
That's not the problem.
If you look at the quote unquote free games, they make an absurd amount of money.
Well, most of them don't.
No, but the
top ones that people play though, yeah,
the top ones do. And I think I guess so as far as this question of maintaining or improving the quality bar, I really think there's basically a 3-prong approach. One is that the stores themselves need just a massive overhaul. Steam has been doing a really good job of actually keeping up with the level of content that they're getting. I think they get like 14 releases a day or something like that, or something like that. Maybe 25. I can't remember. I did the math a couple days ago. But just not that many. And but they've been doing really, really intense work to actually completely redo how their store functions about every 6 months or so, to try to make sure that they're ahead of the tide with these things.
And they're, like we talked about last week, they're going to be probably implementing some kind of a paywall to put your game up, which is recoupable based on your sales. But
so Steam's already done the experiments actually on this stuff, and across the board, what it's meant is more people playing more games and buying more games, and playing games for longer too. Right. So in other words, there's a huge financial incentive for that to happen. Because if you think about the number of games and the number of gamers that are on mobile, if you up your revenue as much as Steam has from these discovery things, but like 20%.
I think they said 20%.
It's nuts. 20% increase from
the problem with mobile though is they have to now retrain an entire population of people.
I don't think that's as big a problem as it.
It might not be. I don't think
it is. But so I think the mobile stores haven't done. I frankly would not say have done a good enough job in terms of actually working to surface games, and as a result, you get this a really intense winner takes all system.
Well, and I think honestly, the ads in mobile games also serve this purpose, right? Because ads if you put ads in your games, like we've put ads in our free games because that's how you partially can make money off of a free game. So the ads in a free game serve to bring players into other games that are higher up on the charts.
Yeah.
Right. Because like the games at the top are advertising in other games.
Right. Yep. It's not advertising for like Tide during.
No, it's advertising. It's like you're playing another game.
Yeah, your game is actually just an advertisement for games.
Yeah. And this is the weird thing we realized after we had him in. I don't know if we were playing one, and it tried to point us to either Clash of Clans or something like that. And we were like, wait a second, like
we're pushing people into other games.
Yeah, we're literally pushing people out of our game permanently.
It's fucked up
by showing them ads.
So the way you make money off of your lower tier, like further down the list, free game is to just like
sell your users.
So you collect a group of players and then you hand them off to one of the games that's higher up on the list,
and then you get a couple pennies.
You get like. What is it, like $3 per 1,000 players or something?
So I think as far as improving the quality bar, I think there is this question of why free to play even exists, and it frankly is a question that I think should be asked.
Well, I mean, it exists because people don't want to pay for stuff, and if you have other mechanisms, meaning ads. Because that's how it all started, right? If you allow for some other mechanism where a person can be the product instead of the consumer,
right?
Then
this is how Facebook works.
This is how everything works, yeah. Then now someone's like, yes, free stuff, and then they go get that free stuff, and then now that's the world they live in, right?
And they are the thing being sold, to other companies.
But now you can get entire games for free, and if you're willing to put up with ads, which we've been trained our whole lives to do from watching TV and stuff, right? So then you just like ads are just a thing in your life that you deal with, and so you don't even realize how much that's screwing with your enjoyment of the product.
Have you watched? I mean, have you watched Netflix for a while and then tried to watch TV?
Oh yeah, I can't.
It's incredible.
I can't.
Oh yeah, actually, it was. I was on an exercise bike at the gym last week, and they have TVs mounted to everything in the gym. I was like, I actually haven't watched TV in probably a decade. Like, I'm just going to turn it on and see what's cracking.
It's the worst.
So it's like Property Brothers or something, some show, watching it. And it's like, every 2.5 minutes, like clockwork, I have to watch a minute and a half of commercials. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
I was trying to think of, imagine, because for some reason we've accepted this in certain areas of our lives.
There's a very clear reason for it. It's because this came from radio. This came from broadcast stuff, where your consumers just get to have what you made.
Right. Yeah, but for most TV stuff, you're paying for that cable.
Not the origin. Like the origin of TV.
Yeah, I know.
You just broadcast it and you have to have a way to pay for it. Right.
Right.
And your consumers aren't going to fuck because they don't need to. It's just stuff coming over the air. Right. Yeah. So somebody else has to. Right. Yeah. And now the consumer becomes a product. And then even though we're now at the point where people can just buy those services, like with literally everything we get now, right? Except for basic TV that I don't think anybody does even have a TV antenna anymore. I have no idea.
I don't know.
But yeah, so now you actually have to pay to get it, but you can make a hell of a lot more money as a company if you also put ads in there.
Right.
So
I was trying to think about like other scenarios where if an ad appeared in that scenario, people would be enraged about it. It's like, what if you went to a play?
It's just historical.
A play?
Yeah. And so like if you take it at the same pace as television, like every 2.5 minutes, just a bunch of randos will run onto the stage, and for a minute and a half, they'll just try to sell you bleach and shit, right? And then
they sold you a play that was happening next fucking door.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what mobile games do, right?
And like you see that, and you're just like, this is wrong, right? But then it happens in a game or in a TV show, and you're like, yeah.
Well, this is what I was trying to get at though with the question of actually putting free to play on the chopping block as well as just advertising generally, because there is a really interesting, I think, a lack of concern for people's own attention, which by the way that's the only resource that you get, like besides time. Attention is just the primary thing that you get as a human being, and most people are very content to
just give it up,
just let people take it. And I mean, it's even come to the point, I've talked about this before, the grocery store. When I go to swipe my credit card at the grocery store, there's a plate of ads like that the register machine sits on. So I'm just standing there in front of these ads. When I go to the fucking gas station now, when I swipe my card, when I start pumping gas, they turn on a TV that tries to sell me like bleach and some other shit.
Yeah, it's that dystopian sci-fi future.
It is. I'm like, you guys need to fucking stop, because I didn't ask for this, and my attention is way more valuable than this.
You just wait though, because once we have self-driving cars, oh man, the inside of your car.
Oh God, no!
Like there's
it's gonna happen.
There's already screens inside there and stuff, and like once you no longer have to pay attention to the road, That's primo
Actually,
advertising.
probably what'll
space.
happen is you'll get like a 1% discount on your car if you let it throw ads at you, right?
Yeah.
Like fuck it. So I
They'll
left my
cut
Kindle.
down your car payments or something.
I left my Kindle in the airplane last week. And so I got home and I was like, okay, now I have to fucking get a new Kindle. Right?
Oh, you just
so I was looking into it. They have some they have some newer ones, right? And they're like they have 2 newer models that are fucking expensive for like a little reading device, you know. So it's like $200 and $300. But I was like, okay, let me just see what the details are on these because it sounds like they must be really good, right? And look, they seem pretty cool. But that's the price of the version that comes with ads.
What do you mean it comes with ads?
So like when the thing is like just sitting there when it's like turned off, right? It'll just have an ad up.
So fucking Windows 10. When you go
Windows 10 does it now too.
It has this beautiful picture. And like usually it's just a cool little snippet of information about the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently it was like, do you want to get 10% off this thing? And I was like, the fuck are you doing on my fucking lock screen Windows? Get out. Like what?
A thing that you bought.
Yeah, I bought this.
Yep.
I didn't ask for you to sell me shit. Cut it the fuck out.
Yep.
And I think I think until people get angry
you just wait. Like when you're reading a book on your Kindle, you're gonna in between chapters, you're gonna see an ad. Just wait.
But this is like it's just gonna get worse because people don't want to pay for stuff.
But I think that this thing blows my fucking mind because if you take a second and understand what you're giving up, which is literally
your ability to think.
This is why if something is going to use ads and that's the only mechanism I can use it, then I will not use that thing.
Yeah.
If Windows actually starts throwing ads at me, I'm going to burn it down and just use Linux. Like, honestly, I will. Whatever. There'll be many consequences to that. It'll be harder for me to do other stuff, right? But I won't even give a shit because that's the thing I can't. That's like on YouTube. I pay for YouTube Red. Never watch the thing there, and only watch Netflix. Don't even watch Hulu because at least I don't know if it's still the case, but Hulu you could pay for back in the day, but it would still show you ads.
Well, it's funny because I was on this picnic.
Now it's just some shows based on individual arrangements.
I was on this picnic yesterday with some friends, and I don't have I'd like have my YouTube account logged in on my phone. So I wanted to play some music. So pull up some music, hit go, and then we're playing like Bananagrams or some shit. And I'm expecting some music to happen
because you clicked music.
And then there's a 30-second ad. And then the music starts, and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, they've given me one, so hopefully I've like earned my share for the next couple videos. And every 3 minutes, there's a fucking. I'm trying to play Bananagrams.
but now this was your fault because you didn't pay for that.
I didn't log in.
Yeah. Right. So you got exactly what you deserve because you're one of those fucking consumers who refuses to pay for
That's
things.
true, but this is my point though, is that did not at all make that experience good.
No, which is why you pay for stuff, right? But for
that's
some
not
reason,
the goal.
Yeah,
they're trying to make you have a good experience.
I know, but this is the thing. This just blows my mind because it's like everyone's like, I want free stuff.
It's not free,
and more so than being not free, it takes away from your core functional capability. The only thing that you have as a human, which is the ability to pay attention to things, and you just give it up.
And I think worse is that the more you let that slide, the harder it is to focus on things, just period.
Yeah.
Because I noticed, so I used to be a writing tutor in college. And I worked with probably, I don't know, maybe 300 or 400 students over the course of my college time. And I could almost like pinpoint to the hour how much TV people watched based on the quality of their writing.
They couldn't string sentences together, bro.
Yeah, it was just a perfectly proportional correlational relationship where for every additional hour they would spend watching TV every week, the more and more jumbled their thoughts were, the less they could focus on maintaining a particular point, the worse their grammar was, the worse the overall structure of their sort of, paper in general. I mean, I had some people who would hit a point where they would not be able to maintain a consistent point within a sentence. Like they would start it somewhere and then it would just derail and
was
land
Trump one
else.
of these?
Yeah. No, I didn't tutor him. We'd be in much better shape if that happened. Yeah. But yeah, so
this is the thing. Like there's a high cost. There's a super high cost.
Just think about it. Like your brain gets really fucking good at whatever you make it do a lot of.
Yeah.
And if what you make it do a lot of is rapidly switch between 15-second commercials where people are trying to sell you shit, then that's the way you start to think. You think about things in these small few second bursts that have no coherent thought. You can't function.
I think this
as
is
a thoughtful person.
I do think, and I understand, of course, that a lot of the current necessity for the ads right now is because of, like you said, the way that we built this whole thing. Is literally the whole internet runs on ads.
Yeah, because the internet is free.
Because the internet is free. So
I understand it's provided for free, right? So somebody has
I understand the current necessity for it. That being said, I do think it's one of the most heinous things.
Absolutely.
That everyone just doesn't step back and ask the question: should we be okay with this?
Mm-hmm.
Should I be okay?
Well, people
with this?
do, and they go like, there was a social network somebody tried to make a few years ago. That's when you paid for, right? And then it turns out, well, they did it really stupidly, but it also turns out nobody wants to pay for stuff because they've already got Facebook, right? So, why now go pay for a service that's just Facebook,
and you're battling the network effect where you have the whole point of the network is a lot of people in it.
Yep. Right.
And if you have an empty network, it's not a network.
Yeah, I think because they fucked that one up in particular because it was invite only, advertised as if it was for special people like VIPs and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you also had to pay.
Right.
So like they put so many gates in there that like there was not a chance in hell that was going to work out.
They were trying to make it seem like way, you got fortunate enough to be invited, so you should pony up the cash.
Yeah, but if they did just have like a Facebook that you paid for, that actually could be a cool place to be.
Probably
not
Probably not.
I think if you value your attention, you should really be asking the question of why the fuck you're watching so many ads.
Yeah.
Or why you're doing many of the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Frankly. I mean, we were just talking about earlier today about that feeling of you have a mission, you have a thing, you have a thing that you're planning on doing, and you're like a bullet, right? You're just like zooming toward your thing.
So let's say you're like, I'm gonna go check the calendar on my phone. Yeah, I need to know.
So you open up your phone, you go to your main screen. All of a sudden, you're confronted with like 50 apps, right? And then that bullet of attention just pancakes, like it just hits a wall and just flattens out. And all of a sudden, instead of with high velocity and intention, putting all your focus into one thing, you are now putting tiny amounts of attention into like 50 things. It's just like this flat, shitty attention pancake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So don't pancake your attention.
Yeah. I mean, the rise of mindfulness has been happening for a reason. I think everyone's just mindfulness didn't used to be a thing because you didn't have this shit happening all the time. You could walk around and not be harassed.
I mean, it's always been a thing. People have been ranting about this since the dawn of advertising, right? And rightly so. It's just every generation has its like new set of things to fight against, But I think it does definitely seem to be the case that advertising only gets more intrusive over time.
Well, there's a documentary. I think it's called Fed Up, and it's about sugar and about how there's an obesity epidemic in the U.S. and it's rising in other countries as well and stuff, and basically amounts to the fact that the ecosystem in which we live, everything has sugar in it. Just sugar gets pumped into literally everything, and you just can't escape it, right? And so you have people whose bodies are suffering not because they're actively going out of their way to do stuff to it, but because they just are existing in a toxic environment, right? Where like sugar is just part of everything,
right?
And we've just come to accept it, right? And like the same thing is happening to our minds,
right? With your ad space,
yeah. Well, like we live in a toxic brain space, and unless you are just like how if you want to take good care of your body, when you go to the grocery store, you gotta make sure you don't go into those center aisles basically at all. Like stick around the edges, like get your veggies, get your meats.
Well, great. So because I read,
but you got to really be conscious of it all the time.
Because I read a lot of news too. I read primarily online. This is again, like we talked about the necessity of maybe getting a newspaper, I think last week or a couple weeks ago. Because you're reading an article, and if it has any sort of depth to it, like you need sort of, you're paying attention, you're training together whatever the thoughts are that they're laying down brick by brick. And then in between two paragraphs, there's an ad.
Ads.
And especially if it asks, if it's visual, I can just ignore it. If it's just like a picture, but now a lot of them are just a bunch of words also. And so you're reading, and then you just read the fucking thing. So
you're talking about online articles?
Yeah. So you're reading, you're like, oh my God, this immigration policy, interesting. This started here. Here's how people are responding. Would I like to buy a new dishwasher? And I'm like, what the fuck?
Although, wait,
But then again, maybe
can you actually subscribe online to these things? Because I know for a while you could.
New York Times, you can.
Okay, because I know for a while you could, and that didn't really work very well. I didn't know if they were still doing it or not.
Yeah, I think New York Times is a good one. Yeah. But if you do, just because of where all the different news sources come from, that's the only one that I generally plunk money into.
Yep.
But if you pop over and someone's like, "Oh, look at this interesting Washington Post article," then you should go read some ads.
Yeah,
infuriating.
Yep. So you just like what you're doing with your food, paying attention to the sugar content of things.
So when do you think the attention epidemic is going to be?
We're
recognized. I know we're in it, but no one's pointed it out. No one's been like,
well, people are pointing it out all the time. It's just
it's not, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah, the problem is like you can't, like it's more abstract, right? Because I think for starters, there's an interesting problem where the people who are the most victimized by it have lost the capacity to understand it.
I mean, they're not dumb. They're just
they're not dumb, but they have a harder time thinking about things, right? Because they're just constantly overwhelmed by all these things, right? And so the people who need the help the most are the least likely to go out of their way to like get it, right? And we also don't have an easy way of measuring things. So if you think about like sugar, like how many grams of it are you eating? Like you're supposed to have less than 32 grams in a day. That's the absolute maximum. And then,
but also think it is unambiguously true. And except for some weirdos, everybody agrees sugar is just bad for you, period.
Yeah.
That's the end of the story, right? It's bad for you. Everybody also acknowledges and agrees that it's in literally everything.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody has agreed to both of these points for like fucking 2 decades, right? Is it in any fewer things? No. Nope. It really isn't, right? So this is a thing that is easily solvable, like easily. You just say, you have to actually put how much sugar you have on it and tell people how, like we do with cigarettes, right? This is exactly how bad this food is for you right now, right? And then all of a sudden people have to.
So are you saying maybe if
easily fixable and we still don't fix it.
Right.
So yeah, we're not fixing advertising.
So I guess the only way to fix it would be if there's some kind of a regulation or some kind of a rule, which basically said like, if you are offering a free service with ads, you must also offer a paid version of that service that has no ads.
Right.
Or something like that.
Yeah, free to play would die though, real quick.
No, because most people still wouldn't pay for that thing. That's true. As we have experienced with our own fucking games, right? Is most people want to do. And some people like if I play a game that I like and has ads in it, if there's not an option to pay to get rid of them, then I will just stop playing that game. But if there is an option, then I will pay for it and I will, continue to play. But we're in a minority of people who actually do that.
Yep.
So it's everybody's fault.
Valued your goddamn time and attention, people.
Yeah, we really flew off the rails with that one. We went over 20 minutes, but this is important.
It's a personal point that just enrages me.
That's a great question. Great question.
Yeah, value your time. So if you're actually had a discussion with somebody about this recently too, because they were talking about like I don't really want to pay for this service that they wanted to use, and I'm like, but like, what do you mean? Like if you want a service that's good, you have to pay for it somehow, right? Either someone's stealing your attention, or you have to put some money in, right? And
you are losing something.
You're losing.
You have
something.
To decide.
Yeah,
what's more important.
Choose the one that is least costly, which is actually money.
Yeah, $1 or your ability to think and function as a human being.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Which one of these is it? So, yeah. In short, pay for things, guys. Come on,
if you can.
All
right, obviously. This has been Coffee with Butterscotch. We went deep. We went hard.
Ranted.
We raved. We learned some things. It was good. So thank you all for your questions. Again, these questions come from podcast.bscotch.net. If you want to get your questions on next week, then go there. Have some questions. All right. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.